Jarvis, can you recall all of a sudden you look NFL history of the most receptions, starting your career, and then outside looking in, and all of a sudden you see a guy like Michael Thomas breaks your record, and now you're on the same team. And it's pretty special to be that many receptions and being a part of NFL history.
Yeah, it's a great thing. You know, Mike has always been an extreme talent and has had an incredible work ethic. You know, and you know, watching his career become what it is, you know, I'm excited. I know you guys, us as well, are excited to see him back out there.
Jarvis, you guys got a chance to break the monotony a little bit today, practice in front of fans. Just how much does that boost up a team after a couple of days of, you know, slogging through the heat?
Yeah, it still was hot, but you know, it was good. You know, the energy was there, even from, you know, driving up. You know, you had the welcoming party out there going on, and you know, you could feel the energy, you could feel the excitement around this team, and we fed off that a little bit today for sure.
What was it like being able to do that in front of hometown fans here where you're from?
It's always a good thing. It's always a good thing. You know, I hear so many people from, you know, Vacherie and, you know, Destrehan and all the places, you know, the neck of the woods that I, you know, my stomping grounds. So, you know, it was good to be out there and hear the excitement from the fans.
Jarvis, I know this is your first exposure to Jameis, but he's talked a lot about trying to improve his short area accuracy. Which has been your impression of him throwing to that area of the field so far?
Yeah, I mean, he's been pretty accurate. You know, obviously, you know, me and him, we've missed a couple. But at the end of the day, you know, we make sure that we stay after practice, you know, and that's something that, you know, his work ethic shows. You know, that's where his work ethic shows, you know, grabbing guys and staying after practice to make sure that we can hit those routes that we may have missed in routes on air or in practice, or if he just didn't get it and he wants to get it, you know. So, you know, he has an incredible work ethic.
Could you explain why that might be difficult, like, say, improving, you know, intermediate routes versus like a deep ball, per se?
I'm not a quarterback, so I can't answer that question.
I just wondered if the wide receivers had perspective of that. I mean, I know it's a good question.
I mean, from a wide receiver standpoint, I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. From a wide receiver standpoint, I think it's more about, you know, the angles that we're setting. You know, on certain routes that we run, once we set an angle, we're supposed to stay on that angle. You know, so for us, you know, whether we got to evade someone or change our angle a little bit, that can mess up the quarterback a little bit. So, you know, a lot of it goes hand in hand with not only how the ball is being thrown, but, you know, what we're doing as receivers and how we run our routes.
Hey, Jarvis, you mentioned Destrehan. Have you talked to Kirk Merritt much, or kind of taking him under your wing at all?
Who?
Kirk Merritt.
Yeah, Kirk is he's going to be a great player. You know, he works extremely hard. You know, he has a great, you know, mindset toward the game. He's made a couple plays here so far that has flashed his talent and his speed, you know, and it's a long camp, but, you know, we're excited about the upside that he has for sure.
Now, obviously, Mike wasn't out there today, but, you know, what has been your impression of him the first kind of 3-4 days of camp?
I mean, he's been present. You know, he's been present in meetings on the field. You know, he's a hard worker. Even when we get breaks, you know, we still with the receiver coach, you know, working on our craft. You know, and that's one thing Mike loves this game. You know, and it kills him not to be out there and being able to fully participate with us. But, you know, he's making sure that he's doing everything he can to be back out there.
Jarvis, Thursday was the first time you got to run routes alongside Taysom Hill. How much freedom does that give you as a receiver? How unique of a player is Taysom?
Yeah, man, he was one of the people that I was excited to see. You know, I know he's coming off an injury, so to see him out there running routes, putting his hand in the ground, making guys miss, catching the football, the way that he plays in space. You know, he's definitely a guy for us that you would just consider an athlete, you know, and that shows.
Does that kind of give you more versatility of routes that, you know, run and with Pete calling plays that kind of open the field up for you, having guys like him, Kamara in the passing game?
Yeah, I mean, I think the offense in general, you know, has this this flow, that can have this flow, you know, of where the ball goes, and but that's up to Pete. You know, that's up to Pete, and, you know, also guys, you know, proving it here right now, that they can be trusted with the ball in their hands and in situations. So, you know, we're all trying to prove that right now. But yeah, we got a lot of guys that can make plays.
Jarvis, D.A. talked about the level of competition out here for making sure that he brings in competitors. What's that been like for you, just in terms of the competitive nature of it?
Well, it's a high level of competitiveness here in this building. You know, especially in that defense side. You know, they're talking. They're competing at a high level. I think that's kind of really the makeup of our team. You know, that's what we want to do. We want to compete. We want to outwork our opponent now. You know, DA does a great job of making sure he reiterates that, you know, every time we have a team meeting, before practice, after practice, just kind of our DNA.
And you set the tone here, leading, you know, your team each season in reception. What's that like, bringing your veteran experience, and how are you able to help some of the guys like Chris and even like Mike, just any, you know, this receiving core? What's that like for you, and what are you noticing with this group?
Yeah, I think we all feeding off of each other a little bit. You know, we all learning things from each other. There's a high level of vulnerability as far as just, you know, things that we've all been through on the field, off the field, whatever it is, you know, and you build a brotherhood and you build a bond throughout this time of being locked away, and it's only football. And I think our receiver room is gelling together through you know, the history of the plays that we've made in the NFL, and also the young guys are stepping up as well.
Jarvis, what perspective, when you look at a guy like C.D. Deuce, now he's your teammate, but let's say the receivers around the NFL, what do they think of C.D. Deuce, like before you were a teammate of his now?
Yeah, he was one of the players before I got here. My mom was like, "Watch out for 22." But you know, he being here and being around Chauncey and seeing the passion that he has for the game, and you know how much he loves life, you know, and the way that he plays the game. You know, he's one of the most competitive people that I've been around, and that's something that is contagious. That's something that you can see other guys feed off of. And that's what you want on your team, and I'm happy I get a chance to play against him, compete against him in practice. I'm getting better already.
The cornerback group as a whole, just kind of what stands out about those guys, the depth and the talent that they have on the depth chart.
Yeah, they got real depth. They got guys that can come in and play right away, play right now. I think the thing that sticks out the most for me is the versatility. You know, you got a lot of guys that can play corner, a lot of guys that can play nickel. Even Chauncey, he'll go back to safety every now and then. So, you know, there's a lot of versatility in the secondary. All those guys have ball skills and you know, can make plays. So
a lot of those guys are kind of like long and physical, just from receiver perspective. Like that type of cornerback, like what's the challenge they present, just kind of in general?
Yeah, I mean, it's recognizing that, you know, recognizing their skill sets, you know, but trying to play to our strengths as receivers. You know, we try to play to our strengths as often as possible, as much as possible, you know, and understanding that, you know, those guys they get paid too, you know, and it's going to be challenging. They're going to challenge you all the way up into the catch point, you know what I mean? So, you know, it makes us better as receivers, and by doing that, it makes them even better at their position as well.